How did the Vikings go from this to this in just 15 days?
Up in the pocket. He's holding it too long.
Just run.
Throw it, man.
Just run.
At the 25-yard line, he's sacked for a fifth time.
Sam Darnold was one of the best stories this season in the NFL. He led the Vikings to a 14-3 record, started poking the outside bubble of the MVP conversation, was a top 5 quarterback in numerous stats and metrics to back up the wins. It appeared that he would have his choice of 3 to 5 year type deals worth anywhere from $140 to $180 million, either offered by the Vikings or a quarterback needy team in free agency. And then we watched a 3.5 hour Viking funeral on Monday Night Football.
Very tough feeling in that locker room right now.
The MVP bubble burst in Sam's poor ginger face, and the thing I said in my Sam Darnold video a few weeks ago, Sam Darnold is going to write his next contract based on what he does in the NFC side of the playoffs. Sam Darnold would have to shit the bed so profusely that the Vikings would have to throw the bed out with him this offseason to move on.
Up in the pocket. He's holding it too long.
Came true. Oh God, Sam, what'd you do? Unfortunately, Darnold crumbled under the pressure of the final 120 minutes of the season, which leaves us with more questions about who he is as an NFL quarterback than answers. Are these last 2 weeks, plus the first 4 years of his career, who Sam Darnold is? Or could he still be the guy we watch for the first 16 weeks of the 2024 season? There will still be a significant interest in his services in free agency, and I will reveal what I think the Vikings will do and who the fit is for Darnold if they move on. That's Good Sports. What? I always sit here like this. Today's episode is sponsored by Ridge.com/thatsgood, and I actually have 2 Ridge wallets. Why? So the pickpockets only have a 50% chance of getting me. Just kidding, it's because once I saw Ridge offered NFL wallets, I had to get the Broncos powder-coated wallet. And then I had to get a third when I saw they had carbon fiber Broncos wallets. Everyone needs fiber in their diet. Now, Ridge simplifies your way too thick wallet and organizes your keys and everyday carry essentials. Ridge has 30 plus colors to choose from in every NFL team. And they now offer these carbon fiber weaves. Okay, I'll just say weave normal next time. And premium matte grade finishes for their NFL wallets. It can hold up to 12 cards plus cash while staying incredibly slim, like most teams' chances to win the big game. You can fit up to 6 keys in the key case, which for me made me realize I had about 4 keys on my key ring that were complete mysteries to me. The key cases are also available with the NFL logos now. I like that the case keeps the keys from moving around in your pocket. It's something I didn't even know I needed. The wallets also feature Ridge RFID blocking materials to protect you from digital thieves. So use my link below, ridge.com/thatsgood to get 10% off your order now. We're less than 5,000 subs away from hitting 700,000. I think we can do it in a week and a half. You guys are awesome. Now, Sam Darnold had a hell of a season. Losing in the playoffs the way they did after a year like that is a tough pill to swallow. And when you eventually swallow that pill, I know you're hoping it's cyanide. Did Sam Darnold choke in the bright lights? 100%, yes he did. He was almost literally choked out of the postseason, but I don't think that negates or erases what he did for the first 16 games. Anyone who wasn't excited about Sam's season and wasn't rooting for him is the lowest form of hater. People so miserable, they root against the downtrodden to also fail. I look at what Sam did this season as an example of how you can turn shit around when you're down, when you have failed to live up to your potential. I think every normal person needs to believe they can do that to keep pushing forward, even when it feels like nobody believes in you. That's why I hate seeing Sam go out the way he did this season. That said, when a quarterback ties the record for the most sacks taken in a playoff game with 9. It's a tough sell moving forward, right? As a quarterback, you have to sell your franchise on hope. They need to envision their team winning the playoffs with you at the helm. It wasn't just taking 9 sacks. It's that the majority of those sacks felt like Darnold's fault. I'm not trying to take away from the Rams' pass rush either. It's been getting better all year. And we know the Vikings have issues in protection, but Sam, you gotta learn to throw that ball away.
But already tonight, he's taken too many sacks.
Or fucking run every now and again. Instead, he looked like a deer in the headlights. One that got consistently smashed against the windshield and started bleeding out money. The most damning stat is 6 of the Rams' sacks came after 4.4 seconds. You better be Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, or Lamar Jackson if you're holding on to an NFL football for 4.4 seconds. Darnold also lost 82 yards on 9 sacks. I have never seen that in a playoff game, and neither have you. Unless you were alive in 1967 watching the Ice Bowl between the Packers and Cowboys. Now the Vikings faced 3rd and 21, 3rd and 15, 3rd and 14, 3rd and 19 because of Darnold's sacks. It makes the run game irrelevant. It allows the defense to keep teeing off on you or top roping you like Jared Verse, and it will be the exact thing that gives Sam's next employer pause. Joe Burrow did get sacked 9 times in that playoff game against the Titans, and he figured out a way to win.
How do you win a game when you get sacked 9 times?
He was the first quarterback to ever do that. Sam showcased what a normal QB looks like getting sacked 9 times in the postseason. While I'm not going to go full Orlovsky on defending Sam's performance.
You think last night's about Sam Darnold?
Hell yes!
You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind.
Oh, please.
You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind.
Please.
I would put Sam Darnold at 4th or 5th when it comes to reasons why that game went the way that it went.
We have to remember the offensive line was obliterated on numerous plays. Minnesota allowed 24 pressures, which is high, but that's not the worst pressure rate given up this season. The Rams allowed 6 pressures, and Stafford was an assassin against the blitz, which means he got rid of the ball before the blitz arrived or it was picked up. 14 of 18 for 178 yards and 2 touchdowns when Minnesota sent extra rushers. It's a tough contrast for Sam in that game specifically. Now, a lot of people are taking Kevin O'Connell's post-game press conference as a goodbye to Sam Darnold.
But for Sam is acknowledging the things that made him a winning quarterback this year and the consistency at the times he had it throughout the year and what that meant for our team, because I think that can stay with him moving forward as he goes back to work.
I see why, I do, but we really love trying to overreact and put meaning behind vague words and phrases, I think. O'Connell knows that they haven't made a decision on Sam quite yet, and that they will evaluate that within the next month and a half. I also believe the Vikings have their blueprint for the 2025 season. They are all in on J.J. McCarthy as their future quarterback, which is exactly why they traded up twice and drafted him 10th overall. They have a head coach who everyone on earth believes is the best guy to develop J.J., and I think they want Sam back if they can afford him. But what they're going to do first is, of course, look at all of the other holes they have to address and determine how much they will need to spend in free agency to fill non-quarterback voids. The good news, Minnesota has $73 million in cap space heading into the offseason after eating a lot of dead cap from the Kirk Cousins deal, 7th most in the league, actually. Kevin O'Connell welcomes washed-up quarterbacks in his heart like Mother Teresa, which is also bad news for Sam Darnold right now. Now, before Vikings fans give Sam Darnold a full Vikings funeral, or a blood eagle, look no further than Jared Goff. His last season with the Rams was pedestrian. His first season with the Lions, more pedestrian. And then, boom, nobody beats Goff. And Goff and Darnold are kind of similar quarterbacks. And by that I mean slow. They're slow. They're slow, so slow. But Darnold is even more statuesque than Goff. The difference right now, Darnold has shown he can be crumbled by pressure. And I don't just mean relentless defensive pressure, I mean the pressure of big games. Before he took 9 sacks in the wild card, his worst game was against the Jaguars this season. Okay, so every player has a bad day, and that's probably what it was against the Jags. His second worst game, though, was Week 5 against the Jets. 1 pick, 0 touchdowns, 179 passing yards, with a completion rate of 45.2. That was a big game for him because that was his former team. A lot riding on that game in his mind to prove those fucks wrong for giving up on him, and he could not perform. He had an eerily similar outing against the Lions in Week 18, also a huge moment. Although the Vikings probably win that game if their receivers are suddenly 8 feet tall. So the question really becomes, can Sam Darnold play well in the big game? Does he have the clutch gene? Can the clutch gene be developed or fixed by a good mechanic? I think if Lamar Jackson gets to and wins the Super Bowl, you have your answer there, and it is yes. One part of the QB development process we rarely discuss is playoff development, right? Playing well in the big games. Unless you have that innate ability to turn off the rising blood pressure that comes with facing stressful situations, you have to learn to work through that shit, and you do that with reps. I think Sam can get better in those big moments, but I'm a dreamer. He might not be a killer, but he needs to find the next situation that will allow him to do that. I believe teams thought they were getting a stone-cold killer when they saw Darnold throw 5 touchdowns in a 52-49 Rose Bowl win 8 years ago, but that instinct hasn't shown itself in the league, probably because of what the league did to that instinct. Now, the one reason the Vikings might not make Sam Darnold any sort of offer, outside of them determining he's just going to require too much money to serve as an eventual backup to J.J. McCarthy, is because they've gotten to know Dan Jones. There's another guy who's taken his licks in the NFL and would be a great man to have in the quarterback room with J.J. McCarthy. And he will be a hell of a lot cheaper than Darnold because Jones doesn't have the free agent market Sam Darnold does, and he's already been paid. Now, I think what the Vikings would love to do is franchise tag Sam Darnold. It is, though, the best option for the Vikings. Sam can make some serious coin for the 2025 season, at least $40 million, and if he plays well, they could also trade him before the deadline for a haul. Now, the craziest part of the franchise tag is if there's a team or two out there that decides they need Sam badly, they could still make a bid for Darnold. With the tag, another team can make an offer, and if Minnesota doesn't match it, they'll get, 2 first-rounders in compensation to let him go. That's unlikely, but who knows? What Sam can 100% do is keep the Vikings' 2025 season on track if they don't want to start McCarthy week 1. And due to his injury, that could be the case. Sam Darnold is the example of what can happen to a quarterback if forced to play when he's not ready, right? Minnesota pushes for Sam if they want the luxury of time with McCarthy, and as an insurance policy if McCarthy goes down. Having a backup who knows your system, who executed it at a high level, and was again hoisted upon the shoulders of his teammates is ultimately a good thing to have, even if it is a bit pricey for a year or two. Honestly, when I saw that video the first time, my initial thought was, God, I'm so glad that will never happen to me, because I would not want the pressure of living up to those types of expectations from my teammates. The loss to the Rams took away Darnold's leverage. If the Vikings want to make a smart move for themselves and play nice, they could offer Darnold a Baker Mayfield type contract. Baker got 3 years at $100 million, and I know that sounds insane, but even the Baker deal had an out after 1 year, and maybe you shrink that to a 2-year deal and drop the money down a bit so Vikings fans don't blow a gasket. Who really gives a fuck about the actual math? Sam has earned the right, I think, to go back to Minnesota, but under the very specific, I will take a discount since you guys revived my career contract. But if Sam wants to be a full-time starter for the foreseeable future for more than a half of a season or whatever with the Vikings, then he needs to leave. What he's got to identify, though, is a landing place that will give him a very good offensive line. Dear God knows he needs it. Who would be willing to pay Sam Darnold, though? The Raiders? The Steelers? The Browns? If they find out Watson retore his Achilles doing something dumb, voiding his contract? The Colts as an Anthony Richardson insurance policy? That would require 2 things I don't see happening. The Colts opening up their checkbook And Darnold viewing Indy as a better spot and situation than Minnesota, which he won't. The Giants, if they can't draft a quarterback at pick 3, and the Giants, fair to say, they don't offer the best protection up front, so no. In terms of fit, it's the Steelers. Sam Darnold could be the next quarterback to do nothing for Pittsburgh in the playoffs and wave that terrible towel over their broken souls next January, which means there's a very good chance of that happening. I think the Browns are too scared to ever pay another quarterback ever again, which leaves the Raiders. Personally, I think Sam gets the franchise tag and is a Viking in 2025. My second feeling is he's a Las Vegas Raider as that team actually starts to rebuild their identity. Despite the fact that Darnold's lack of a clutch gene would literally make Tom Brady go on a sugar bender so fierce he wakes up butt naked face down in a Bellagio penthouse bathroom floor, that team desperately needs a competent quarterback. I don't see the Raiders being enamored with the quarterback in this draft to trade up for one. I doubt Tom Brady is high on Shedeur Sanders, even though we know Mark Davis is. And the Raiders actually have a respectable offensive line right now. Plus, the Raiders have the second most cap space in the league right now at $99 million, an elite tight end in Brock Bowers, the ability to draft an impact player at pick number 6, in addition to having a puncher's chance at landing Ben Johnson. Though, of course, that is the same Ben Johnson that had a front row view for 2 of Darnold's 4 losses this season. All of which came at the hands of the Lions or the Rams. But hey, he won't have to play the Lions or Rams that much in the AFC West, right? This all leads to the bigger point about the nature of the QB position, right? Whatever you do in the bulk of the regular season has to be reinforced in the gotta-have-it games, like the one against the Lions and your playoff games. You can build a resume in weeks 1 through 17, but the sheer significance of January football can wash it all away in a matter of 8 days. It's a fickle position to be in, and Sam Darnold may have just watched his redemption arc go up in smoke. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. We are going to hit 700,000 subscribers so soon. What does YouTube give me at 700,000 subs? Nothing.